Yeah. All right. Let's talk about last night and get some of that out of the way. First and foremost, Northwestern came back to earth. They lost by 15 at Iowa in a game.
Jordan Bohannon came back down to earth. That's what happened.
Well, he finally woke up, man. Like he had not been playing well at all this season, and then last night he had 24, 5, and 5 on 10 shots. I think he hit 6 threes, and he hit 5 in a row in the second half. A couple of them were bombs. He hit one step back that kind of was the dagger to end the game with about 2.5 or 3 minutes left. That it was just like, oh man, if Jordan, here's the thing, if he's playing like that, it just completely raises the ceiling for this Iowa team, significantly.
Yeah, it gives him a weapon that not many teams have, period. I mean, people forget he's an elite shooter when he's healthy, an elite shooter. And we saw that last night. If you just took that game, you'd be like, holy shit, who is this dude? He shoots the hell out of it. I mean, he shoot it from the logo. He doesn't need any space. He had confidence last night. You put him with everything else they have, which Luka Garza, the best player in the country, Joe Wieskamp, damn good player. CJ Frederick's terrific. Your boy Toussaint he got hurt late in the game, but he gives him a different dimension. Then you start to feel pretty good about this team that, you know what? They don't need to guard people. They don't need to. They're just going to outscore everybody other than Gonzaga.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's the threat of what he can do when he shoots. It's the fact that you have to be cognizant of where he is when he's making shots the way that he was yesterday, right? And it was very evident that Northwestern was going to focus on Luka Garza. They were doubling on the catch immediately. They weren't even bothering to deal with Connor McCaffrey beyond the arc, and they were making sure that
that's the way to play him.
And they made sure to stick with Wieskamp and CJ Frederick on the perimeter. If they were going to have to get stuck in a rotation, it was going to be off of Jordan Bohannon because, he was shooting 27% of the year. You
got to make him earn it, and he did. Now it's pick your poison. How do you play this team offensively? I don't know.
We'll see if this continues for Jordan or if this was just okay, he got hot and he's got – they've played 10 games, and he's had 2 where he's been lights out and 8 where he's been horrible.
I like Jordan, so I'm rooting for you, Jordan. I'm rooting for you to keep this going.
Look, I've been tweeting out his stats, and I get response from Iowa fans. Why do you hate Jordan Bohannon? I don't hate Jordan Bohannon.
No,
I think he's a nice kid. I want to see him do well, but
not a good. Listen, you still say his shoe game move might have been a top 10 move of all time.
Oh,
you have the ultimate respect for Jordan Bohannon, the kid.
That what he did, that put him on legend status in my mind. For people that don't know, what he did was they 30-balled Iowa State in the last game that he played at Iowa State, and so what he did was he signed his shoes and he left them on the foul line after the game, which is just so good, so funny. All right, a couple of the headlines from last night: Florida State lost to Clemson. Honestly, I don't think it was that surprising. Clemson was the favorite. Florida State's not all that good. Right. Alabama beat the brakes off of Mississippi, which is not something that I thought I'd see.
I finally hit one there with Alabama. I had been on a cold streak with the Crimson Tide. Quinterly played well. Again, do I trust Alabama completely? No, but they've got talent. I don't.
You shouldn't trust them at all.
You know what I trust? They're going to win enough games in a shitty SEC. How's that?
Yeah, you know what it is? That's just your blind spot. Everybody's got a blind spot. Everyone's got one.
But it translates over coaches. That's the crazy part is I picked them a few years ago with Avery, didn't learn my lesson, picked him again last year with Nate Oates, picked him again this year with Nate Oates. I'm done. If I pick them in the top 25 next year, you have full right of I can never do a top 25 again. How's that? Ever. I'm done forever.
You're going to put them in the top 25. So
remind me of that, please.
Don't make promises you won't keep. All right, the last one that we need to talk about, Houston lost at Tulsa. Yeah. Shout out to Brandon Rochelle, man. The stones on that kid. Swish 2 free throws. So
1 seconds left.
For people that didn't see it, Caleb Mills hit a jumper to tie the game with I think it was 6 seconds left in the game at Tulsa. They come down the other end. Brandon Rochelle goes to the rim, I think it was an offensive rebound? I think it was an offensive rebound that he got fouled on. Either way, like he got fouled with 0.1 seconds left on the clock in a game where Tulsa was down by 1, and a 65% free throw shooter. He steps to the line, swishes the first, and as soon as he made the first, you knew that he was making the second, and hit them both. Houston didn't even get a shot off, and yeah, Houston took their first loss with the fighting Frank Hayes. The fighting Frank Hayes, baby.
As the number 5 ranked team in the country, I tweeted this out yesterday. The last time Houston had been ranked number 5 in the country was with Akeem Olajuwon. How's that? That's how long it had been, and it's short-lived. Listen, I think we both can agree. There's 3 teams on a different level than everybody else this year, and then there's everybody else. And, yeah, there's some teams that are better than others, and it's going to come down to matchups and timing and all that. But I trust in 3 teams, and that's Gonzaga, Baylor, and Villanova. And I know Villanova had that shitty loss in the bubble. Maybe not shitty. That's the wrong way to say it. But they had that loss in the bubble that had a lot of people questioning them. They'll be just fine. Trust me. Villanova will be there at the end as long as they're healthy. And we'll see. Maybe they'll get Brian Antoine back too.
So my question to you is this. What did you think of Houston before this loss, and does it change your opinion of them at this point? Because I still think that is I thought before this game that they were a team that could get to the Final Four. I still think now they're a team that can get to the Final Four. If anything, I was just like, okay, well, you know what? Frank Haith got them boys in Tulsa playing well. That's my take out of it. You know, road games are tough league play.
Doesn't change a word. You know, for me either. Listen, like I just said, they could be the 4th best team. They could be the 20th best team. Wherever you rank them. They're tough as shit. They've got multiple guys who can go get their own, right? And again, they're a veteran team. They've got a lot of older dudes as well. And oh, by the way, they're pretty well coached. It's so funny. I tweeted out something yesterday about Kelvin. And like the blowback when you tweet out anything positive about some of these guys, anybody who's cheated, right? Kelvin Sampson, the blowback is incredible. They're like, cheater, 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 cheater. I'm like, he did. He cheated.
He made phone calls. He made phone calls. What do we
Who cares?
What are we talking about here?
Again, he did it. He did the deed. But the deed was so ridiculous when you look back on it. You're like, can we just scrap it from all annals?
Wasn't that you that dug it up? Who did you
That was me.
catch on the phone calls?
Yeah, I broke it. And it was a shitload of phone calls. I remember
how do you feel now? How do you feel knowing that you ruined that guy's tenure at Indiana over a bunch of phone calls?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, again, it was a rule at the time. He blatantly broke that rule over and over again, by the way. So, yeah, at that point.
Yeah, he did it twice. That was the thing. Like, he got caught making phone calls at Oklahoma, and then he kept making them phone calls at Indiana. Like, at that point, he's just kind of like, dude, you got to find a way to hide that.
I remember calling him maybe then, and I'm like, hey, you know, you made however many phone calls to like Kevin Bookout, and he's like, yeah, we had a pre-existing relationship or something like that. No, you didn't. You didn't have any pre-existing relationship. He was just a really good player who was like 6'8" when he came out of the womb. Kevin Bookout. He was like 6'8". I don't know if you ever saw Kevin Bookout.
I remember Kevin Bookout. Shout out to Kevin Bookout, man. That is a great old school name. I had forgotten about Kevin Bookout. What do you think Kevin Bookout's doing right now? I'm going to Google it.
We should get him on the pod. I honestly saw Kevin Bookout play with 4 of the worst high school players in Oklahoma. I think they played a slam dunk to the beach. And that dude, like, they wouldn't get him the ball for some reason. And he would just be running up, down, up, down. He must have done it 15 straight times. Never touched the ball, believe it or not, and never complained. And I was like, from that moment, I'm like, I love Kevin Bookout. He is an absolute stud.
So how about this? Kevin Bookout, right?
What's he doing?
Graduated in 2006.
Yeah.
Played for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, which I guess is a D-League team. Yeah. Didn't make it there. Tried out for the 2008 and 2012 Olympics. Didn't make it there. And after he did, shot put. Yeah. And after he didn't make the Olympics, he tried out for the Jets in 2012. Didn't make that team either. So he failed in 3 sports.
Damn. Well, I wonder what we should find out what Bookout's doing. That should be like, I'm going to write it down. See if I can track down Kevin Bookout.
There is a Kevin Bookout surgical specialist at Symmetry Surgical, which I'm guessing is not the Kevin Bookout that played basketball.
You don't think he became a doctor?
He could have. You never know.
Smart kid.
If Aaron Craft is a doctor, then Kevin Bookout could end up being a doctor.